Okay, so here I am on Mount Vernon, 1102. Obviously, we have an older roof here that is completely cracked and split around the perimeter. This is just age, but the material has separated entirely. So you're definitely getting precipitation entry, but it's probably going into the old roof. Now, because this roof is in such bad condition, it's taking on water, and I'll show you the proof of wear in a minute. But it's just, people think about paint, people think about carpet, but they never think about the roof being cracked and split and wide open in imperative areas around the perimeter. Especially important is the gutter section where all the water goes to. Let me show you the backside of this chimney real quick. Completely open, and then of course the seam here. Now, this is not terrible. You could probably get away because of this slant roof. You could get some life out of this, but you're gonna need new flashing around the entire perimeter, new rubber walls around this chimney base, because you can't just put flashing, because here's what always happens. It always cracks apart. There's got to have rubber on a serious 90-degree transition like that. And then coat it. Because of this exaggerated slope, you get a lot more years out of this. But you definitely got to coat it, and you definitely have to flash it. Otherwise, water is going to continue to get underneath this material because the entire perimeter is open. Here's my fat hand to show you how open these areas are. So imagine if I could stick a pencil in there, and definitely water can get in there. And here's your proof. If I move, here's the water coming underneath of this material. See how this is wet? Shiny? It's not shiny, it's wet. So 4.5 square. Certainly I'd love to sell you a new rubber roof for this, but you can get away with the reflashing, new rubber walls here, new rubber mansard wall there, and the reflash, and then a heavy aluminum coating. Let me jump down here. Here's another 2.5 square. You can see the same thing. The perimeter is cracked and split. So your attic insulation, well, not attic, it's more of like a little 12 to 18 inch space between the ceilings and the actual roof joist. But everything's split apart, again, just due to age. There's an attempt at flashing there, but there should be, what should happen is the walls should run from left to right, and then there should be a horizontal wall that comes up here at least 18 inches above and then down onto the roof deck. The flashing here is also split, obviously. See all this? And because the flashing split everywhere around the chimney, this also should have had the old UHF antenna anchors removed. And then this should have been wrapped in rubber. But what's happening is, because the flashing is split, water gets in. I mean, you got a 12-foot section there that's completely split open. And what happens? How do you know the water's getting in? This is happening because water is getting in around this material and then leaking out. Here's a slice that somebody made when they were installing. That's a no-no. That's why you never cut material on material. Obviously this is flaking apart. And here's your proof that this flashing is shot. So 4.5 square up there, 256 square right here. Same thing. Could install a new rubber roof and you have nothing to worry about for 20 years. Since this material is not doing well, or if you're just trying to band-aid it for the time being, reflash everything before you start seeing sheetrock or plaster damage or have to start worrying about joists. Or drop a new rubber roof on it. We go down here. And then down here, this last one, this newest, also has the same problem. It's just been ignored. It's due to age. It's wide open. Stick my finger in there. Flashing split around the perimeter, obviously. Looks like somebody probably accessed this from that way, smashed the capping. But this should be enclosed. This is an old smooth rubber system, but it's obvious, as you can see. You don't have to be a roofer to see that it's open in too many places to count. This one I would actually recommend putting a new rubber roof on. Not only because these walls are wide open throughout all of this area, but also because this roof is no longer waterproof, because this is a mistake that a lot of HVAC guys make. These pads can never sit directly on a roof. What has to happen is you have to have 1.5 inch thick anti-vibe pads, whether they're custom made or bought from the roofing supply is irrelevant. But what happens is, because these machines work off a centrifugal force, they vibrate. And what winds up happening is they vibrate directly into the material. And they work almost like a reciprocating saw and cut in. You see that? It's cut into the rubber. So this one is not going to be just a coater. And anybody tries to sell you just a coater on this, after the bricks have worked their way in, you see that? Into the roof surface, cutting into it, the rubber has become obsolete. This wasn't closed correctly to begin with. Again, this is another mistake. They brought the material left to right, ran it up, and then called it a day. They should have run it left to right and then run the horizontal lengthwise down onto the deck, up onto the wall 18 inches. Because that's manufacturer's recommendations. Over here, I would just clean this up, get rid of this debris, build up this area so it drains better. But yeah, this is 1.25 square, 256 square foot, and 451 square foot, I think, from up top. So I've seen worse, but all three of these roofs definitely need attention, or you're going to start to see. Remember, it's important to know that you have a leak years before you see it, because it works its way. The top layer is the roof, next layer is the wood, next layer is the insulation in the, it's not really an attic, but it is the space between the roof and the ceilings, and then of course the plaster or the sheetrock. So before you do any damage or start to see any damage, I would definitely recommend getting attention yesterday to all three of these roofs.